Hello, future journalists. My name is Richard Murray, and I'm an academic here at UQ. Today, we're focusing on interviewing techniques and skills, and I'm going to take you through 5 key points. Number 1 is research. Before you do anything, before you organise an interview, before you make any phone calls, before you start planning, you've got to do your research. So if you're interviewing someone, sit down and figure out as much as you can about that person. That might mean talking to friends or family, your teachers about that person, getting everything you need to know. If you have access to social media, it might mean going there, but Google's another great place if that person is famous or perhaps a public figure. The second thing is learn everything about that person's activity. Why are they famous? For example, if we look at someone like Shannon Parry, who was the captain of the women's rugby sevens team that won gold at the Rio Olympics. It's great to know about her, but we'd also want to know about her sport. So know about the rules. So when you sit down with her, you can talk to her on her level. You're not wasting her time asking questions about how to play rugby. Okay, moving on to our next point, planning. So planning is really, really vital. And there's 2 things you need to think about when you're planning your interview. The first thing is, where is the interview going to take place? Are you able to find a place that's comfortable and convenient for your interviewee? If it's a hot day, do you need some air conditioning? Is it noisy where you're going to be? Are you going to be able to hear them clearly? If you record the interview, are you going to have background noise that's annoying, that's too much, that you may not be able to use later? The second thing is, what are you actually going to talk about? What kind of questions are you going to ask? What kind of interview are you doing? You might be putting together a short kind of news story, and you just need to find out a few key points. What happened on this day? Where did it happen, when, and so on. But early on in a story, you're more likely to ask longer questions. So you need to think about the kinds of questions you want to ask. They might be theme-based, okay? And they need to be open-ended. So an open-ended question is a question that doesn't or cannot be answered with yes or no. A big part of questioning is listening. Always listen. Try not to interrupt someone when they're answering your question. I know there's a tendency to want to do so, especially if they're talking about something that's really interesting, that you have a personal interest in. But it's not really a conversation. You're looking to get that information from them. So interrupting them unnecessarily can ruin their flow and can ruin the interview. So at the same time, don't be afraid to ask follow-up questions. And the key follow-up question is why? Why do you feel that way? Why did you answer the question that way? What happened next? This is really, really important, and this is where the richness comes from. Also, be flexible. Sometimes we go into a story or an interview thinking, right, I want to do this story, and it's going to be about A, B, and C. You sit down, you start doing an interview, and it ends up being about A, B, C, and D. You get more than you bargained for. If your interviewee starts talking about something that's really interesting, that's related to your story, don't cut them off. All right, allow them to go. If they just start talking about something completely unrelated to what you're talking about, then maybe it's time to get it back on track. All right, so you've got to find that middle ground. But the key thing here is to listen, is to know when to interrupt and know when to not interrupt. So on to our next point. It's time to edit and publish. With a normal story, you interview more than one person, unless it happens to be a profile. But even with a profile, you might interview other people about how they feel about the subject of the story. And now you want to use it. So for that, I'll direct you back to Nabeer Khan's presentation, which you can find next to this one, because he talks to you about how to write those stories, how to put all that stuff together. But once you've done that, you want to publish this. You want to get it out into the world. There's no point in doing journalism if no one's going to see it. And that can be a little bit confronting sometimes as well. When I was a young journalist, many years ago, my biggest fear was people reading my work, but it was also my biggest success and the most satisfaction was when I got to share this. Fortunately for you guys, you have lots of different ways of sharing your material. So you're going to be sharing it with us, but why not put it together in a way that makes it look beautiful, that draws us as readers in. So there's a couple of ways of doing this. Maybe your school has a subscription to Adobe Spark. All right, this is a publishing tool that will help you compile your work in a beautiful way. Another one is shorthand. Okay, you can put your material, your story together in there, add pictures, do whatever else you need to do, and then send us that link. All right, everybody, so there's a few tips on how to conduct a successful interview. I've been interviewing for all of my working life. Really, really important skill. So don't be afraid. This is where the really interesting part of journalism happens. Good luck with your submissions to the competition. Just remember that closes on Sunday, the 20th of June. Really, really important, Sunday, the 20th of June. Get them in by then. We're really, really keen to see what you guys come up with. You're the future of journalism. In saying that, if you need to get in touch with me, if you need a hand with anything, let your parents, guardians, or teacher know beforehand. If you need a few more interview tips, please feel free to email me at r.murray1@uq.edu.au. That's r.murray1, numeral 1, at uq.edu.au. Best of luck, guys. I'm really, really excited to see what you come up with.